Spoilers for... Do people actually care about Sonic spoilers? I kinda doubt people cared much about the spoilers from the last game, and this one is a 3D Sonic game. The first 3D Sonic game. Whatever, to all you Big the Cat fans, spoilers.
The Sega Genesis has blast processing. Super Nintendo doesn't. So what's blast processing do?
I have a confession to make. I completely missed out on the Sonic craze. Both of them. After the gaming industry killed itself, two video game consoles rose from the ashes, the Famicom from Nintendo and the SG-1000 from Sega. However, both of them didn't really have much of a selling point besides popular arcade games. Then in 1985, Nintendo dropped Mario and basically dominated the entire industry for 6 full years. Sega, realizing they were getting their asses kicked, said, alright, we need an actual rival. In comes Sonic the Hedgehog, who knocked Mario off his throne and into a rivalry that would last the entirety of the 16 and 32-bit eras. The tagline was Sega does what Nintendont, and people loved it. Except they didn't, because that is in fact not what it says. 4 words, fucked it up. Wonderful. This is what happens when you spend over a month on a glorified pet simulator. But anyway, that is until 1996 when Nintendo released the Nintendo 64 and Super Mario 64. And holy shit, every game needed to try 3D after that. Some of them did decent and others, not so much.
Watch out! You're gonna crash! Ah!
Which brings us to Sonic Adventure, or more specifically, Sonic Adventure DX on the GameCube, emulator Dolphin. Because if I had to play this game, I'm doing it in the least painful way possible. On the surface, this game sounds like a cool way to change up the Sonic formula for 3D. Have 6 characters, both old and new, play a part in an interconnected story that takes a bit more of an epic approach, as opposed to the previous ones which were mostly just about stopping Eggman. Or I guess back then he was Robotnik? I have no idea when that changed. 2 problems right off the bat though. 1.
Hey Sonic! Long time no see, huh?
I'm just glad you're okay.
2.
Yes!
Now I'm not going to sit here and pretend that this is the golden age of video game graphics. We got about 3 more years before people actually start to be animated like people. Nor am I going to pretend that better graphics and better voice acting would have made this game a work of art. We're in 2020. Right now video games are baby steps away from looking photorealistic, yet you still have games that offer you nothing legitimate, games that are stuck between choosing a more cartoony style and regressing 5 years, and you still have people that will bitch and moan even if a game looks fantastic. But goddamn, you could have gone the text route. You could have had less cutscenes. You could have said, guys, we're one of the big 2. These new PlayStation guys are fucking us pretty hard right now. Mario 64 was amazing. We can afford better recording equipment. We can say take 2. We can start with a less epic story and just focus on how gameplay looks, since, you know, it doesn't look like our characters are having a stroke when they talk. We can say take 2. Speaking of 2 though, we haven't even gotten to the second point yet. Once again, this was far from a golden age. I was lucky enough to be born at a time where the majority of the games I play had the ability to get the game-breaking glitches patched out. But comparing them to their major competitor at the time, this is embarrassing. I'd say it had gotten better over time, but nope. But here's the thing, this game right here did get the chance to be patched since the version I'm playing is the advanced version released 5 years later for the GameCube. But hey, a glitched game, flawed as it might be, weird looking as it might be, it can still be fun. So let's talk about the gameplay and the story for each character. Oh, and seeing as there's basically an entirely other game included in here, actually multiple, for the sake of a future argument, I'll be playing through the entire game first without touching that.
Oh no!
So the game revolves around a water creature named Chaos that Eggman seems to be controlling. The main goal here is to give the creature all the Chaos Emeralds, the main powerful relics in the Sonic universe, and use its power to take over the world. Standard stuff. You as the good guy are charged with taking down Chaos and Eggman while trying to get the Chaos Emeralds before them. Along the way, meet up with some other characters on their own adventure. And that pretty much covers all of Sonic and Tails' story. I'd complain that there isn't more, but we got 4 more characters to go, and from what I've been told, it was actually better back when there was less to tell. In their levels, you speed through to the end to find whatever it is the game needs you to find at that exact moment. It could be Tails, a Chaos Emerald, a button. Actually, a lot of them are just buttons. Sonic attacks using his homing attack, his basic jump, and eventually the Lightspeed shoes that you find in the overworld. My god, there's an overworld. Okay, I guess we could talk about that. Sorry for forgetting to mention it, but there's literally zero purpose to it except to waste time doing brain-dead puzzles and find eggs that will be the most interesting part of the game, this video, and will give me at least 3 different strokes while feeding into my need to eat children. Otherwise, it's a big time waster. But yeah, spin dash, attack, the works. It's passable? I don't really hate it, it just leaves no legit feeling of anything. The only thing I do enjoy in this is the boss fights, which to be fair have at least one or two unique gimmicks to make them interesting, but whether it's good or not compared to the 2D games is a whole other story. In my lifetime, I've played exactly 4 Sonic games. My only benchmark for 2D is this, and I remember nothing about it except, ironically, these things. Otherwise, the music is good and the levels are passable, but I just wish there was more to say beyond the cutscenes sounding bad. I remember hearing that the 2D levels had a bunch of different paths to go down that added some replayability, but nearly all the levels in this game are pretty straightforward, which feels like the exact opposite point of switching from 2D to 3D.
Oh no!
Tails is the exact same as Sonic, except he can fly and has these hoops to make the level go faster, which makes the levels more fun. Also no homing attack or spin dash, but he can do this.
Oh no!
Knuckles is god-awful. His entire story is that chaos popped out of the Master Emerald, which apparently keeps an island floating and does some vague power thing. I don't know, Sonic lore. You have to find the pieces. Oh, and then you get tricked by the guy who's been the antagonist for 7 years by this point. Wonderful. My favorite levels are whenever the pieces give you good RNG and you can just get them over with as fast as possible. Otherwise, prepare for 20 minutes of stupid-ass, barely functional puzzles and unbelievably dumb locations. The sad thing is, he doesn't control bad. He punches, he can glide, he can dig. His moveset is kind of interesting. It just sucks that he has to use it to do basically a scavenger hunt.
Oh no!
Amy is unfortunate. To a certain degree, she's actually super fun to use since hitting things with hammers is super fun. Couldn't tell you why. But the problem is that you are constantly forced to run away from this stupid robot. Hell, that's the best summary for this story. You find a bird and a robot is after it. That's it. That's the story. Every level is get away from the robot. The goal is to get a balloon to get away from the robot. You find something interesting, get away from the robot. You see rings to get away from the robot. Even though you can hit the robot, get away from the robot. I think the idea was to capture the feel of Resident Evil 3 with that guy who constantly follows you, but this is not a horror game. This is Sonic. You have to go fast, and you can't go fast when you're being interrupted by this stupid thing every 5 seconds. Wait, Sonic came out first, by a full 9 months. So my canon is now that Resident Evil 3 got the idea from Sonic Adventure, and I'm gonna go question my life choices that brought me to that conclusion.
Oh no!
So, I want to be honest, I have no complaints about this one. Which is weird because it's made up of things I don't like in games. The awkward ass shooting, the stupid ass time limit, having to do shit to add to the timer, never liked any of it. But it all comes together in a way that's actually the absolute worst. Sonic Team's got about 7 more years before they make a good third-person shooter. But in spite of that, I think it's the story that brings it all together. The idea of one of Eggman's robots going on its own adventure after gaining awareness is kind of interesting. Plus, it puts a bit more context into how these robots work to begin with. Though the context implies that the robots have more control over their actions than previously thought, so for a guy actively trying to take over the world, that's kind of shit design. But hey, at least the boss fights against the other E-series are pretty neat though.
Oh no!
Big the goddamn cat. Of all the things this game is infamous for, it's this half ton of fun. His entire gameplay is just fishing. That's it. Find a pool of water with the frog and don't fuck it up. Simple. It's the shortest story, it has almost nothing to do with the main story, its gameplay is god-awful, and it's the worst thing about this game, right? Well, allow me to confess my sin, ladies and gentlemen. Big is unironically my favorite character in this game. No joke, not kidding, he's my favorite. And you are absolutely right in saying he's the worst part about this game, because objectively speaking, he is. But you know what? There isn't a stupid ass robot chasing me. There's no time limit to worry about. I ran into no collision issues. There's no stupid ass puzzles, no gimmicky minigames, it's the shortest story, and most importantly, I like the story. This is a guy who lives out in the middle of nowhere, bothers no one, and is perfectly content just fishing with his little buddy. One day, through no fault of his own, his little buddy gets taken away. What does this lad do? He gets off his ass and goes on an adventure that leads to him facing off against a giant water monster with a fishing rod and escaping on a high-tech plane that he has no idea how to use from an exploding flying battleship. And I'll be honest, that's both charming and awesome. Is the gameplay trash? Probably. Does the voice actor sound like he's doing a bad Barney impression? Definitely. But I can't help but truly enjoy the lengths this stupid cat went through just to get his frog back. Whenever I play this game, as little as that might be, I always make sure to do big story last because for me it's just the best way to go out on.
Oh no!
Throughout these stories we get bits and pieces of another one. Long ago an ancient tribe of the Quapina once decided to not listen to reason because they felt entitled to stuff, and then the water monster killed them all. One woman in the tribe by the name of Tikal sealed both herself and Chaos in the Master Emerald to keep it from destroying the world, but thanks to Eggman's nonsense, he's out again. Once you do all the stories, you unlock the final story scenario in which you find out that Chaos is still alive, he gets all the Chaos Emeralds, and then the cutscene from the opening begins to play. It's pretty cool. All the characters show up, hand Sonic the emeralds that landed about 20 feet away from him, though I think Big is only here to yell at us about his house being in the water. Sonic transforms, kicks its ass, and upon seeing these things, it calms down and goes off somewhere with the call. The day is saved, and yeah, that's about it. The end. City's still destroyed though. Once all the stories are done, you can go back to the levels and get all the emblems. Collecting them gives you all the games released on the Game Gear and unlocks the ability to play as Metal Sonic from Sonic CD. He plays exactly the same as Sonic and only does time trials. So, that's disappointing.
Oh no!
Overall, kind of a shit show. But like I said, this is only the beginning. Exploring the overworlds a bit, you come face to face with the Chao Gardens and your very own Chao. For those who don't know, these are basically Neopets and Pokemon combined, with Sonic. And no joke, this is where the budget of the game went. This was the masterpiece. This one part of the game takes up 8 times more space than a regular game does. There is so much detail in these things and you would never know unless you actually looked into it. But for the sake of simplicity, and because I refuse to have this section take up more than half the damn video, we'll go over the basics of what's necessary for the endgame of this portion only. You start with 2 eggs of a standard color per garden. There are 3 gardens throughout the game, so that's a good 6 eggs to start. Throughout the levels, you can defeat enemies and get animals. These animals can be given to Chao to level up their basic stats: fly, swim, run, and power. Plus, you can give them fruit to up their stamina. The Chao will use these stats to up their motor skills, as well as gain abilities from every animal you give it. Yes, one of them is farting, and I have no footage because getting a skunk is hell, so here's some footage I found on YouTube. Marvelous. Now you're supposed to only give them 1 animal at a time, but that would take forever, and there's an exploit you can use by just screwing with a terrible collision to get them to level 99, so we'll be doing that instead. These Chao also have an actual life cycle. They are born, they age, and they die, specifically after 15 hours, or 5 Chao years. But if you aren't an absolute shit pet owner, they can actually reincarnate. Also, they evolve. Like I said, Pokemon. Or Digimon, if you're, one of those people. No judgments. Except I guess Sonic wanted to make 2 Nintendo franchises look like shit, cause while there was only about, let's say, 800 Pokemon back then, counting every form in their shiny variant, with Chao's, I literally gave up counting around the 4,000 mark with every different color and tone variation. Including a full-on Punnett Square for genetic color variants. Yes, really, look it up. Here's the site. Have fun crying and realizing you're doing this over a Sonic Pet Simulator. Oh wait, I'm doing that. Anyway, when they reincarnate, they'll be born again with 1/10 of the number of the stats they died with. So you can level them up all over again and evolve them into the type of Chao you want them to be during the next cycle. This is important because this gives you a chance to level up their stat grades. See, when Chao are first born, they have a grade for each of their stats. You can't see it in this game, but you can use the amount of points you get per level up to guess the grade of the ability, which is good for continuously getting their stats higher and higher, capping out at 3,266 without any hacks. And finally, that brings us to the final point of Chaos. A Chaos Chao. Because not only can they live a regular life cycle, they can transcend that regular life cycle. These are the hardest Chao to get, with the most conditions to get them, needing at least 30 in-game hours to do everything required for them. So today, for your viewing pleasure, allow me to make a practically perfect Chaos Chao from scratch. 2 in fact, because being alone and eternal just seems sad. Also, because getting them to 3,266 seems like an absolute nightmare based in RNG that I am not ready to deal with, I'll sell for just past 3,100. 95% accurate, literally the margin of error in most scientific experiments. Are you ready? I'm not. Oh, and just for the sake of not spending a year doing this, I'm gonna go ahead and set the speed to like 200, 300%, because this is an emulator, and I can do that. Let's do this. Come on. No. God damn it. Slowly. Yes! Okay, perfect. Wait, no, come on! Okay, no problem. I'll go get more. Just get more animals for the kids. Just more animals for the kids. I got this. I can do this. I don't even regret any of my decisions right now. I don't even think that was English. Okay, doing good, and that was not supposed to happen. Fucking buttons. You doing alright? I don't think you're doing alright. Amazing programming there, Sonic Team. Just top 10, amazing, wonderful. How could you even compare? It's just great. Everything about this is glorious. It's wonderful. I love everything about this. I just
take the
come
animal,
on, this
take
game's
the animal.
top 10.
Yep,
People
come
love
on,
this game.
yep,
How many
yep,
people
go
love this
ahead,
game? I wonder
go
how this
ahead,
Spider-Man
go
game
ahead,
haven't
go
even
ahead,
opened
go
yet
ahead,
is
go
doing.
ahead,
I mean,
come on, yep,
come on,
go
compared to all the
ahead,
other
go
Sonic
ahead,
games,
go on,
except
take
the
the
ones
animal,
that are
take the
freaking
animal,
great.
take
I
the
haven't
animal,
played
come on,
it.
my life has
How do I know?
go
It's
ahead,
gotta be
go
I
ahead,
wonder how that
take the
Spider-Man
animal,
game I haven't even
go
opened
ahead,
yet.
go
I
ahead,
have to
go
get back
ahead,
on
go
this.
ahead,
I'm
go
pretty
ahead,
sure
take the
Sonic
animal,
Mania was a
take
good
the
copy of
animal,
that
take
Donkey
the
Kong
animal,
one. That's
take
also
the
sick.
animal,
Sonic
take the
Boom. I
animal,
don't
take
know
the
about
animal.
most of
My
these,
life
but
having no
this is
purpose
really
and
good,
not
guys.
meaning,
It's
but
supposed to be really good.
My life has plenty of purpose. It's to give life to these stupid pixels.
Okay, last reincarnation. I think at this point I've spent literally 150 plus hours on this. I have no idea how many reincarnations I've done. My brain can only play this game at 300% speed now. Just finish it, god damn it, Avocado. It's your time to ascend. Perfect. They're both finally perfect.
I'm perfect! I'm too perfect! This is what happens when you try to play God!
It's not starting. Why isn't it starting? Please, I put so much work to this, don't you? It's not happening, is it? Okay. Yep. I think we're done. Maybe in the sequel. That's the score, and I'm just gonna... Yeah. Huh.
It's me, Mario!